would like to start off for Coach Fuller? Adlon, back right.
Hey, Coach. How pleased were you with the play of Akeem Dent? He's a guy that, you know, is kind of in and out of the lineup, but you guys dialed some blitzes. You seem to be pretty on the ball for you guys. Sorry, how pleased were you with this play?
I mean, Akeem played a lot of snaps, you know. Some was due to availability, some was due to his play. There was some, you know, I thought that opening third down play he made was really, really good. I mean, that's an excellent play. That's winning football. But there were some things too that he would like to have back that I think he could be better.
Ira?
You guys, obviously the second half played exceptionally well, it seemed like defensively. There was a little stretch in the first half where they had some success. Were they doing anything differently, or was it more?
Yeah, it was really, I mean, it was one play and one drive, you know, in the first half. And, you know, if we limit, you know, the one play, I mean, we had 2 missed tackles at the point of attack. Our linebacker didn't play it super clean, you know, and like, not a lot you would have changed about the play except for the result, you know. Then the drive, you know, where they hit some runs, we just, you know, we got out of our gap, we got a little bit too nosy in too many places, missed a tackle here and there. You know, that play or that drive is what I want to have back. You know what I mean? Not that we would have really done anything different. You know, there were some things that we adjusted at halftime or as we were going into halftime in the run game. But more it was just about, this is how they're doing it. This is where you need to be, you know, than it was like a wholesale change. You know, there were opportunities from a pressure standpoint, but, you know, it was just, you know, definitely want to have it back. I mean, we got to win the football game, you know, so, you know, it's easy to say the last drive is the one that you need to, right? But, you know, there were 14 points in the first half, basically one long run. We get them to 3rd and long, and they hit a one-on-one fade in the end zone, you know, but I go back to that one big run, the longest run we've given up in the season, and it was a critical one. And there were a bunch of answers throughout the play that should have been a play. And then the drive in the first half, you know, that's something we can't allow happen.
Ira again?
On Kevin's PI there at the end, is there anything you should have done different? I mean, obviously it could have been tighter coverage, but
well, the coverage itself, the end result was tight. You know, it was just, they were in a rub route, you know, and when you get rubs, sometimes there's some space if you don't exchange routes or put a certain guy over the route. But Kevin reacted in a good way. You know, J-Dub had one of them in a similar fashion earlier in the game. And, you know, listen, I don't control how that stuff happens. You know, the technique, it wasn't super clean at the start, but I thought the finish was well done by Kev. And I thought he was in good position from a reactionary standpoint. You know, it's just, you know, it's a bang play, and you know, they put the flag down, we move up 15 yards, and we play again.
Ira?
You know, Jermaine's made a lot of plays this year, but that play was obviously exceptional and a huge moment. You know, could you talk about that play and just his play overall?
Yeah, I thought, you know, he got in a one-on-one. I thought our defensive tackles did a really good job of play. Actually, Malcolm Ray drew a holding penalty on the play. You know, he put the center right in the quarterback's lap, which allows him, you know, to kind of panic and don't see things that could be open. But what Jermaine did was 2 drills that we work every day. You know, and that's the thing I told him yesterday when we sat down, like, there's just a lot of drill work showing up for him on tape. And that shows, you know, his ability to take coaching, but also to take what we do and apply it in game situations, which most really good players have. I've seen great players that have done things that I've created drills for because of how they've reacted to plays. He's worked it the other way in a good way, but I mean, he reaches outside and around, played the ball in slow motion, bent his knees, picked it up, scored. You know, just that's a complete play at a critical point in the game.
Gene?
Adam, on the drive, their one scoring drive in the second half against you guys, where they had the 2 penalties. You guys were obviously pretty dialed in defensively that whole half. Is it a maturity thing with those guys at that point? Because you had 2, let's say they're questionable calls, you can't say that, but it seemed like maybe they lost a little focus just because of that, because of the momentum. I mean, how do you teach that to your guys to say, hey, bad things are going to be happening, we need to overcome that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, if that one happens on Kevin in the first quarter, that one happens on DJ in the second quarter, you know, is it the pressure of the moment? Is it all, I mean, DJ Lundy's playing as hard as he can on that rep. And, at the end of the day, it's a quarterback and it's a sideline, That same play happens to us when we're covering a kick and it's their kick returner. You know what I mean? So it's just in the moment of understanding, quarterbacks are, treated that way and for us to be able to pull off on that, but, it just, there were 30 yards of penalties, on a good field position drive. And then, we had 2 missed tackles on the touchdown run. And, those are things that we've got to win that game right there, right then. And whether it's to go back to the 2 penalties, go back to the misfit or the missed tackles on the touchdown, all those things. But that's an unacceptable finish. We've got to find a way to win that game and keep the score where it is. And that's what we expect to do moving forward. It needed to happen Saturday night, and it didn't.
Kurt?
I know you talked at times earlier this season about the plays being there for takeaways and not being made. I mean, when you have 3 in the second half there, is that something, how contagious can that be? And now kind of string the weeks together of being in the positive on there, just how much of a difference maker can that be?
Yeah, I think you're always looking for the results, but as a coach, I think you gain trust of the players. Players trust the coaches when you turn on the film, they play really hard. And they give maximum effort, and you can see it and you can feel it. And then when the drill work shows up, then they trust the activity that you're doing in practice. So now you get more energy in practice because they realize it's going to help them make plays, because everybody wants everybody to look at them, right? Look at me make the plays. So when they realize what you're teaching them works, when they realize the effort and the energy you're putting into it works, and they give it to you back, and then the momentum of the game, when that stuff happens, becomes contagious. And I think that's a little bit of the momentum. As far as, takeaways is a funny number. Sometimes they just don't come. But if you coach the habits and you coach how it happens and not just the result, then the results do come. And we've seen that the last couple of weeks. And we've created some positive takeaways. And now I think we're climbing up the charts as far as taking the ball away. And that's a product of the training.
Chris?
What stands out to you about NC State's offense, and who are a couple of players for them that put a strain on opposing defenses?
I think it starts with the quarterback. He's done a great job of getting the ball in the end zone. He doesn't turn the ball over. And then I think the next one is you look at the O-line. That's a really seasoned, physical, play well together up front. They've got one of the most physical tight ends in the league, just in the run game at the point of attack. And they've got big wideouts, on both sides. And they got a slot that's a really good route runner that we've had to try to defend. And they got 2 backs that play equal time, that run hard. So, that's a good football team. They're probably really good on defense. They're scoring the football. They've had some really big games offensively. They've had some games where they've kind of managed the game and won the game, with defense. So they've got a good record, and they're a team that's played really well the last couple of years. And we went down there last year, and they put it to us. So hopefully the lessons have been learned, but a veteran quarterback that doesn't turn the ball over, that's really smart, super confident, big wideouts with a really good offensive line, and 2 backs that have done a good job with physical tight ends.
Ira?
Sorry, just. You mentioned Malcolm Ray earlier. How much are he and Jared giving you kind of in that rotation now?
Yeah, you guys can look up the snaps. Malcolm played probably his most reps Saturday. Want to get Jared a few more, as we get him healthier, take some of those reps off. But, in a perfect world, we're playing 4 defensive tackles. So Fabian and Coop are playing the sizable amount, but at no point do we ever want them to play fatigue. So you're trying to stay ahead of that early in the game. And Malcolm's given us legitimate reps, and he hasn't been super clean, but he's played with really good effort, and he's a team first player. And you're seeing that when he plays with his technique, he doesn't guess. I think he's somebody that he's got a high ceiling, and we got to continue that. And just like a young player, sometimes he gets his eyes or his hands in the wrong place. But Malcolm and Jared have done a nice job, and Josh Farmer has to keep coming along. He's 5th right now, and based off of the play of those other 2 is in health, that really adds up to how much Josh is going to play for us.
Ira, one more.
I just wanted to ask about the physicality. It seemed like, there were a lot of big hits in that game, which you'd expect. But how is that? And I know it's been there for much of the year, most of the year. How'd you feel about that part of the game?
Better. I thought our linebackers were, I think DJ Lundy had his most physical game. You know, but we're a physical front, you know, and that's something we take pride in. You know, I said before, that D-line's the front porch of our defense. I mean, that's what everybody sees. That's where they set the example. They set the tone, and that's been that way. You know, whether it's Keir Thomas, whether it's Fabian, you know, whether it's Malcolm, Derek McClendon, you know, just we're playing about 9-10 guys up front. And then at linebacker it showed up, but it showed up at safety too. I thought Jamie Robinson is super physical when you put him out there, you know, at safety. So, you know, I think, you know, still a few too many missed tackles this past week, but we are flying the football. We are attacking the football, and we are knocking tackles back. And, you know, I am proud of that effort and the physicality.
Aswan, that's right.
The defense overall is just playing at a noticeably better level here the last few weeks. I don't know how much of that you take solace and you don't seem to. Is like good the enemy of great for you guys at this point right now?
With the enemy of great.
Well, you guys seem to be playing much improved, but you don't seem all that. I mean, obviously, is the result ultimately the thing that's going to determine your sort of happiness or your
Oh, you can't tell I'm happy? We sat in our unit meeting yesterday. We all got to be who we are. And like, I'm not negative. I just try to be, listen, this is what we're doing really well. And I appreciate it and I love it, but this is what we got to do to get better. And it goes to that all the time. Now, I absolutely think that we're improved. I think individually, there have been some really great performances, and I think we're playing together. And there's nothing more important to me than to see when Duke Cooper makes a pick, and we've got 20 guys wanting to sprint on the field to help him. Nothing makes me more excited than when Jermaine Johnson has a sack fumble, and he's looking for Kevin Knowles to celebrate. Like, that's what gets me excited. Like, the plays, the work out there on the practice field, that's the stuff that we promote. That's the stuff that I take excitement in. But then, you know, we didn't win the football game, and that's a big deal. And for us to continue to push and to continue to strive to be better than where we are now is critical to me. And so, you know, just making sure that I'm setting the tone for our defense in a way that, yes, we are better. Yes, we're making a lot of strides. Are we there yet? No. And how are we going to get there? By getting our mind back on the things that we need to get better at. And just continue to hammer that tone home is basically where I try to live.
We'll go to Jerry for the last question.
You're facing a good quarterback this week. How are you feeling about your secondary? And I know you've had some injuries there and some progress.
Mm-hmm.
And pressuring this quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, we pressured a little bit more last week against Clemson, you know, but when we put our plan together, it's always about us, one, and the opponent, 1A. You know, like, what do we do well, and then what do they do well that we have to take away? And you try to blend those things. And then each week you try not to be rhythmic. You know, you want an offense say, you know, that's the Florida State defense. This is what I think we're going to get because it means you're good at something. But then you want to be able to keep them on their heels enough to say, but this is their identity, but we could be this, they could get this or that, and, you know, and try to keep them off balance. And I think playing coverage and a lot of things we do are always trying to keep that in balance, right? I think, you know, they got two good backs, and I think a lot of things they do evolve off of the run game. But, you know, when it comes down to crunch time, they like the ball in that quarterback's hands, and they like to have him make the decisions as far as where the ball is going to go. His accuracy and his decision making has been his strength with the touchdown to interception ratio. And so, you know, I think we've been good when the rush and the coverage work together. We've had some coverage sacks, we've had some downright just wins up front, where we've gotten pressure really fast. And I think to be able to play off those balances and the guys that work together, that these calls will be with this timing and those calls will be with this type of pressure look, I think that's important for our guys to go, and that'll be the kind of the product that we try to put out there on Saturday.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
See y'all.